It's Friday night, everybody. You know what that means. It's Friday night. Let's have some fun. Let's get together and play a ton.
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Jon.
And we're the content creators for Friday Night Games. We want to immerse you into our love of the hobby by educating and entertaining you through our board gaming adventures. Our podcast lands every Friday, and we create content for Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and now YouTube.
Whoop, whoop. This episode is sponsored by TabletopRenaissance.ca, located in our hometown of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. They just launched their new web store, so check out TabletopRenaissance.ca for your board game and tabletop miniature needs.
Today, we're going to discuss the digital platforms for board games and if we think it's a viable solution to playing games as we continue to navigate this COVID-19 pandemic, and if we should continue on this route afterwards. We will discuss what our experiences have been like, what the benefits and downsides are of these platforms, best platforms we tried, and the ones we haven't.
Yeah, so we just hit the 1 year mark of when Canada initiated emergency orders and our lives changed drastically. With this ongoing pandemic and our province specifically being in and out of lockdowns and stay-at-home orders, Matt and I have really had to make adjustments in how we created content for our audience. So for the last 2 or 3 months, we have been streaming on Twitch via Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator just so that we can continue to connect and play games with each other while being forced to stay home.
Yeah, how's that been like?
It's been a doozy.
It's been interesting, that's for sure.
You know, you do what you got to do, but I think playing games online has kind of been hit or miss for me. You know, I'm not sure if it's due to the age of the computer I'm using and, you know, my poor internet connection.
Oh, press pause there. That computer's real old.
Oh, yeah.
It's my hand-me-down from what I got from work. So it's got to be like 90 I'm like, what, 105? It's got to be like 96 years old or something, right?
Oh, before laptops even existed. I like it. Just travel through time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the age of the laptop and, you know, the poor internet connection, it's been challenging for me to just, you know, navigate and play a game without constantly being dropped out of it. And I find the more intricate games are, the more difficult it is to navigate. But I don't think I'm quite used to the digital platform since I haven't really utilized it prior to this. I am grateful that it exists, though. You know, it has been nice to continue to create content and play games with you, Matt, during the lockdown. But I think maybe I want to hate it more because it's not a tangible experience for me. Mm-hmm. You know, board games are supposed to create that sense of community, fun, and belonging, but I get bored.
Yeah, it really
sometimes. It
really feels like we're missing you're missing a social aspect of it, right?
Right.
Like if I'm gonna stay at home and play a board game with someone, I might as well just I don't talk to them anymore, so I could just go do something else, right?
Right. The one thing I have been enjoying is playing the game Blood on the Clock Tower with a few other content creators. I don't know if that's just because there's no actual interaction with a board or moving components around, and it's just, you know, playing a role and making decisions while chatting with people over Discord. That's been what my experience has been like. What about you?
You know, I have had a couple sets of experiences. So when I do the online conventions, I think that has been a great experience. It's been awesome. It lets me play the game without the $2,000 plus, you know, trip expense that comes along with going to an actual convention. I don't have to rent a hotel room, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can come sleep here. I'll charge you.
Do you need money?
Please, sir.
Yeah, so it allows me and the designers, which you might have heard of, you know, on the Alex Eston podcast, demo the game and give feedback right away, and I don't have to leave my house. Some of the bad things is I don't actually get to interact face to face with the designers, which kind of sucks. So I don't actually get to meet them.
I will say that all the major conventions, I think, did an amazing job shifting to digital as quickly, and, you know, for how fairly smoothly it all went, I think they did a really good job with like little notice and little time.
Yeah, they kind of had to, because that's how they make money, right? If they don't have they had to do something to get money in. I'm sure they got hit really hard. I'm sure they make a ton of money doing these things. So it's probably pretty sad for them. Another experience is when we do Twitch streams. I actually think it's way better. Because I don't have to set up. Nor do I have to waste as much time cleaning up. When you come over and we both do an online thing, it's way less setup, way less cleanup than when we actually have to get the overhead cam up, get all the lighting out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like completely different, and allows me to be at the computer so I can monitor the chat easier. I think the same thing with you.
Yep.
Right. So we could do that stuff at the same time. Now the other experience, and this is the other end of the coin, is when we play with our gaming group. I actually think it's a terrible experience. For instance, a game could take way longer than I want it to, and I don't even think that has to do with, we have like a couple big thinkers in our group. I don't even think it has to do with that. I think it just has to do with the fact that they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, when you play an online game, like take a half-hour game, add at least a half hour just to navigate it on screen and put that with people not paying attention.
Right, yeah, and I know like when a couple of them were saying that they play Dungeons and Dragons together, two of them were actually saying that they just play a video game on the side.
Oh man.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, I just play a video game, and then when it's my turn, I go back to it. And you're like, oh, so it kind of takes away from that social aspect, And then there's a waiting game too that I really don't like. Basically, you're like, it starts at 8. What time does everyone get on at?
Yeah, I don't know, 8:30, 9.
10. Not at all. I don't know. So there's like all those things you're like, come on. I don't know. Maybe that's just a trait of me. I gotta like tell them to come on earlier or something. But I just feel like, I told you to come at 8. You're not paying attention. All right, whatever. Why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
So the last experience is as a content creator, publishers are like, hey, we don't have to send you stuff. Just play our link. And it's like, well, yeah, that's great. I will say that is amazing. I can play this stuff. But then the other part is like, well, I don't get to take pictures.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like the hard part for me. Like, yeah, I would definitely want to play your thing. I'll play it on Tabletop Simulator or Steam. But at the same time, it's like, well, I want to actually see the end product too, right?
Yeah.
I want something tangible. I want something in my hands. It takes longer to play on that. And then also it means that I have to set it up with you another night. So something that could have taken, an hour now takes 2 hours. So there's a time aspect to it.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said before, just playing online digitally, like, we played Parks one day, and, that game's a fairly quick game to play in person, but I feel like it took like almost 2 hours to play with me, you and Kevin.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just trying to, move and flip everything and all that stuff. It's a little hard to navigate.
But in a good way too. We don't see Kevin very often, so it actually let us play with Kevin, which was nice.
Yeah,
a couple times. That's
nice because Kevin lives in the States, so who knows when we'll actually get to see him again.
Yeah, we're separated by that river border, and I mean we didn't get to see a lot of him normally.
Right.
So this actually let us play with him on a day that he had free time, which was really nice.
So besides getting to see Kevin again or hanging out with Kevin, what have been some of the benefits from transitioning to the digital age?
Getting to see Kevin.
That's the only benefit.
What about you? So one huge benefit I see is that it allows us to invite people on our stream more often to play the games with us. So I enjoy playing the games with designers, other content creators, maybe even some of our fans, and it actually makes for a way better show than just kind of watching me and you do our thing. And then as for conventions, I don't have to leave my house. So I get up in my underwear, I go to the convention in my underwear, and I go back to bed in my underwear.
You just do that for work too.
I do.
For me, I like that we've been invited to play a lot of games that haven't been released yet and aren't even produced yet. So that's been really cool. I like the idea of playing a game that you may not want to spend the money on, or you're not sure if you want to spend the money on it, and then you still get a decent experience out of the deal. You can pay for like a little subscription on Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, and you could play some pretty well-known games and decide for yourself if you want to get that product.
I'm gonna admit that's actually one of the better things about the conventions too. The online conventions using these platforms allows for you to actually demo the games before you choose to buy them, and that's exactly why you would go to a convention too. So it actually cuts the convention cost out and allows you to experience the exact same thing with a person who knows how to play the game teaching you, and it kind of like, oh, I really like this game, I want to buy it. That's actually why I bought Seven Souls. Right, I bought Seven Souls because I demoed it and thought it was amazing, so I bought it.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a great game. And I think what a really cool thing, now that you're talking about conventions, you can actually demo the games you want to play.
Oh yeah,
right? Like,
dude. Oh my, yes. Was I complaining complaining about that? I think I was, right? Every time I go to a
Yeah.
convention, I could never get a table or a demo of the game I really wanted to play because there's always people taking up those seats, right?
Right. They allow more times and spots to play, and I think that's been pretty cool. Because I didn't attend any of the conventions like you did. I think I sat in on one of your Gen Con experiences where they were demoing Hocus Pocus, and I forget what the other game was.
Hex Dex.
Yeah, Hex Hex Hex. And that was really cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was fun. Actually, it was the convention was really fun when me and you were both there playing as one person, just because it was just so weird for the other people. I just like creating an experience for everybody, you know?
Yeah, that's what you get when you get the Friday Night Games package.
Yeah, two-headed monster.
Any other benefits that you see?
I mean, other than what we've already talked about, like having it allows us to actually have people play with us from different places and get developers and stuff. And I know like Jim from Mission to Planet Hex said that it allowed him to demo games to people in different parts of the world who normally wouldn't be able to go to these conventions.
Yeah, and that's a really cool point too. Like having that worldwide aspect to bring people to your conventions would be really sweet. I really think that Jim kind of hit the nail on the head there when he said that, because it's easier to do that now. I mean, we did a stream with someone from like Stockholm, Sweden,
which was really good, by
Right?
the way. Check that out on our YouTube page.
yeah, Dawn of Titan. And like when would we have had the chance to actually do that in person? Like, I'm not going to fly to Sweden to play a game, and I'm sure they're not going to fly here to demo a game to us
Yeah, I don't think
outside of a convention time, right?
Exactly. So it actually lets us, no one's going to come to Windsor, Ontario. Or even Detroit for that matter. So it kind of like gets people to interact with us even though we're not in their areas, which is really good.
Yeah. And I'm going to piggyback onto connecting with like designers and stuff like that. It's been really fun just connecting with our audience on Twitch stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give a shout out to Emotional Cyborg again, because she popped up on one of our streams and played Calico with us, and just having, chatting with her every week has been like a real pleasure. And just getting to know some of our fans and audience a little bit better has been awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely the interactions there. I mean, I do like playing with you, but I also feel like if we're doing it, we're doing it to entertain people, right? So on that note, it's always good to have someone on the show, whether it be Emotional Cyborg or designers or other fans. I think that's an amazing thing we can do.
Yeah.
What's the downside of it then?
If you go back, for me at least, if you go back and for a few weeks ago and listen to our mental health and board game podcast, we list a few reasons why board games help with my mental health specifically, and having that social interaction is a huge part for me that really gets lost in translation when we go online. I mean, now we're fortunate enough that our lockdown has lifted, or our stay-at-home order has lifted, so I'm able to go to your house and spend time with you and play games and stuff like that. But I mean, and there's a whole like psychological aspect too of just being online all day outside of board games on like Zoom meetings or whatever, and like having to stare at yourself and strangers all day. It really just takes a toll. I'm going to go a little psychologist here, I guess. I heard it on the radio today, so it's in my brain. When you're staring at people on the computer, that's like almost like an intimate relationship, right? Like I don't even look at my wife that long. You know what I mean? Like, so that really takes a toll on your brain. So that it's kind of affected me that way. I mean, other than that, not having that tangible social experience, eating some Skittles and like, having your brother order pizza and leaving 3/4 of it there for us to eat. Like, just don't get that.
Yeah,
anymore.
we don't get that free mooching of Jay's food. Jay, can you just eat a pizza and then send us the rest? Like drop it off at our houses?
Yeah, I think that's been the worst part for me is just really trying to keep my mental health in check during this. Screen time is terrible for everybody.
It's funny what? I think one of the major issues is just staring at a screen all day. I don't know if the seeing people's faces is such a big deal, especially if I actually work like that all day long. Not that I'm in meetings all day long, but when we are in meetings, it is through, visual faces, and it's at least once a day. But most people just don't turn their camera on. Like, don't look at me. Bad hair day today. Look away. But yeah, no, the whole thing is just fatigue from sitting on the screen, and I totally agree with that too. I mean, that's why I loved board games, because I'm on a computer for 8, plus hours a day. So I wanted to get away from that. And even like when I have a tangible game in front of me, it allows me to learn that so I could teach it later on. And that still gets me off the computer. It's like reading a book.
Right.
So I'm just going to reiterate some points that I mentioned earlier. So basically the players not being completely involved, and I'm guilty of this too. Like I'll be reading news sometimes as I'm waiting for people to take their turns. I'm like, okay, you guys are just like completely boring me. I'm just going to like put up some Detroit Lions news, which is not really interesting either. Which tells you how interested I am. And then sometimes I'll see like people like just like doing other things, like maybe they're like posting on social media, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're not even paying attention. You're posting on social media. Or I literally see that like we're in a game, but then one of our players is actually on. I'll turn on Steam and I'll turn on the Blizzard thing, and I like watch them playing other games.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm like, oh look, I'm like, oh, I couldn't show up, I'm a little busy. Then I'm like watching them like play League of Legends or something. Like, good one. So I don't know. There's a little bit of that, right? And I don't know. I don't really appreciate that. When you're in person, you don't have those distractions, right?
Right.
Like you might, but it's a little bit more obvious if someone goes to start loading up Steam and about to play Valheim. Like, what are you doing, man? We're in the middle of a board game. Can you?
Yeah. I'll take my turn.
John, what are you doing, man? Why are you loading up World of Warcraft right now? Right, I don't know. It's just like one of those things where it's like, in person, you don't have the excuses, so you have to put down your stuff. Or like, hey, I'm looking at you, you're playing Hearthstone on your phone, Novi, and, I'm looking at you, so you need to take your turn, right? Your turn's taking longer because you're trying to play Hearthstone and play with us. Come on. Right? Before you go on, I must say, just so Novi doesn't get angry at me, he hasn't done that in like years, but I still bring that up. Yeah, sorry.
I just think it's funny because, you're talking about all these social distractions while being in the social setting. I just picked up a game where you actually have to use your cell phones to communicate.
Oh, no.
Through the entire game. So.
No. What game is that?
It's called Alice is Missing.
Yeah, joke's on you, John. My cell phone don't work.
Well, you're just text messaging, so it's all good.
Oh,
that
yeah,
works.
Okay, work, yeah. Well, that's kind of, I guess that's like a secret messaging system, right? That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't know. I feel like everyone has to socialize, so you kind of have to put that away. And I know some people claim they're like, oh, I'm so introverted, yada, yada, yada. Yet socially, they're like completely burning up. They say they aren't, but I could watch their I could just watch them, be like, oh my God, I wish I was out of my house. And it's like, well, that's actually like social anxiety. You claim to be super introverted, but you're actually not. Right? Like me, I'm actually more extroverted, but I actually don't care if I see anybody. Is that bad? I think that's kind of bad, actually, because I'm probably like, if you guys consider me in the group, you would say I'm the most social, right?
Yeah. Oh, like while we're together?
Yeah. Yeah, but like, honestly, I'm like, oh, no one's coming over? This is great.
Yeah. Well, that's just, got to clean up everyone's mess. And
I don't look at it like that.
So.
I just look at it like, I don't know. I could just get to do whatever I want, I guess. I don't know.
Play a board game in your underwear.
Yeah. Well, I might just start doing that when everything goes back to normal anyway. I'd be like, this is the new normal, guys. Just me in my underwear.
New normal. So what do you think's the best platform we've used, Matthew?
Tabletopia, hands down.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't say hands down. They all have their benefits and they all have flaws and benefits, but Tabletopia, I think, is way more accessible. All you need is a web browser, and it works on, I would say, 90% of the computers. But I have heard some people say it doesn't work for them, which is kind of strange because it's like I said, it's just web browser based, so it should be able to work on almost anything.
If it works on my computer, it works for everyone.
Exactly. That's your computer is my gauge to how well it's going to work, obviously.
Right.
But Tabletop Simulator's controls are like way better because it's not browser based, so that makes a lot of sense that they don't have, they could tweak the UI controls, the user interface controls, so that it works for everybody. But the thing is, the UI kind of looks like garbage. It looks like I'm like in this like 1980s Paint program.
MS Paint.
Not even MS Paint, like Windows 3.1 Paint, and I'm like ready to play. I'm like, I mean, the game doesn't look like that because you're just importing pictures, but It's just like, I don't know, like it's it's this, like, it obviously controls better, it runs better, but Tabletopia is way more accessible, and like I said, runs out of a web browser, so they can update that more frequently to a computer, unless you're using Internet Explorer 11 or IE 11 as we like to slang it as developers. But yeah, it's just way more accessible. So I think it's a better platform because of accessibility, and I think accessibility is the most important thing.
Yeah, I agree. Tabletopia has been easier for me to use. The one thing about Tabletop Simulator, I think, has better options for creators and designers to make their game as close to the experience as possible. And when I think about that, I think about Umbravia. We tried it on both platforms, and just the ability to hide the bidding on Tabletop Simulator, where Tabletopia you couldn't do that. So I could see what you were trying to bid on if I really wanted to.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Tabletopia. I know it needs more refinement, but they're like a smaller team too.
Right.
Maybe they just need more money, so go subscribe. Which is kind of sucks too, because Tabletopia has, like I said, a smaller team, but they have a lot of free games too.
Right. And that's what's cool too. So like they've actually got a lot of good free games as well.
Right. Tabletop Simulator you have to buy, and then you have to hope a developer puts out the mod for the game. But you will have like custom people making their own mods, but they're never as good as, the developer doing it. Plus, it's a little slight to the developer if you make a mod for them. Just saying, it's not a great thing to do.
Is there anything that we haven't tried?
I'm going to go with you first on this one.
I haven't really looked into it as much. I know there's like Board Game Arena. That we haven't tried.
That's pretty big because didn't they get like acquired by someone big recently?
Isn't it
Asmodee? I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. A lot of people are pretty concerned about it.
Really? Why? They think Asmodee's going to do a poor job?
Well, they like acquired Fantasy Flight Games, and I guess like just turn that to garbage or something like that. I didn't follow it very often.
I haven't followed it either. I don't know about that opinion. I feel like people just people hate change.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yep. We all hate change.
Yeah.
It's hard to navigate. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so we haven't used that one. Is there anything special about that one, different than the other platforms?
I think it's just like a lot of people use it.
Okay.
I just haven't had a chance to use it, I guess. So I haven't really thought about it, because I just thought it was Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia. But it's another web-based browser thing. You can play it on your phones and stuff like that as well.
Oh, you play on your phones? That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
That's really neat. I know there's like different games on each too, right? So that's kind of like that's an important thing. And I think they all have their own free games too. So when you're like looking to play free games, you should look between the three main platforms basically. And they'll have different offerings too. Does it warrant having a membership to all three? I don't know. Maybe.
Does it warrant having a membership to Netflix, Prime, Crave, Spotify, iTunes?
Yeah, everything is like microtransactions, right? Although I will admit they are pretty cheap, and if you do play a lot of tabletop games, you want to do it online, it's good to do one of the services. And if you're like me, you just buy it by the month. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're gonna do these games this month. I buy it or everyone buys it, and we split the account or something. I think that's like a good way to look at it.
Is there anything you haven't tried?
Well, I'm just going to use this question to slam the old Magic the Gathering online system. Right? Have you ever seen that thing? Pull up a picture right now. Pull up a picture and tell me what you think about it. The very first two images. You type in Magic Online and images. The very first two images are it. The third image looks like Hearthstone, but then the first two look like it's basically like this old archaic Windows 3.1 interface.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's like made from like 1993.
Yeah.
I actually tried playing it because I always get like a little magic itch. Like, oh man, can I get some magic? And so like I actually downloaded it, and I could not figure out for the life of me how to buy, sell, trade, or even play. I never even actually got to play. I was just like, what am I doing? And I'm like, I had no idea. And it feels like it is the gatekeeping. It's like a gatekeeper for those who want to play collectible card games online. Like, I just feel like it's like, like some dude laughing on the other end, like, good luck trying to play over here. You have to like figure out this huge interface. You just feel so dumb too, because you're like, I think interfaces have gotten better, which they have. So they released Magic Arena recently, which should remind you of Hearthstone, but it stems from this version, which is super expandable. It has every card and every set and everything, but it just feels so archaic when you're trying to play. But I will give it a lot of credit. I know I just teared it down for a minute or two, but let me bring it up. It was ahead of its time. It was made in 2002, and it was actually probably made for like Windows 98 using like a Visual Studio or .NET, one of the very early versions of .NET. And it did actually introduce the game to like an online audience using the internet. And if we didn't have it, we wouldn't have the popularity of Hearthstone and we wouldn't have Magic Arena. So it really did do a fantastic job. But the thing is, they didn't have a path, and this probably is because it was developed for a Windows platform. They didn't have the path to upgrade it properly and make it user friendly over the years. So the new system is pretty good. So the new system is Magic Arena, but it's still pretty costly. Like it costs a lot of money to get a set or to pay for packs and stuff.
Well, you still have to pay for all that.
Yeah, you do. So the original didn't have, Magic Online didn't have a free to play, but you could do cool things. Like they had like, hey, buy a pre-made deck and stuff like that, which they introduced a lot later. But Magic Arena is free to play. So you can slowly build up a small card collection without having to worry about collecting. But the thing with Magic is that, you know, you're going to want to collect to get better, right?
That's true.
You're going to spend money. So we haven't tried the old Magic the Gathering Online system. And I'm not gonna, so there you go.
All right. So talked about digital platform, you know, what our experience has been like, benefits, downsides. So do you think this is a viable solution moving forward, even when this pandemic is done? Do you think people are going to stay online?
You go first. You go first.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a good experience overall. There's obviously elements that don't appeal to me, but the ability to continue to play games during lockdown and have more accessibility to games that maybe I normally wouldn't have, and the conventions and connecting with designers has been really good. I think everyone did a fantastic job implementing the digital platform for those conventions and play testing like relatively quickly to get these games out to us. Would I want it to be the forever solution? No. Like I said before, board games are about that social element, playing with friends. So getting together with everybody is kind of my happy place. Mm-hmm. Sitting in my basement playing a game on my computer, I would rather not.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, for right now, it is what it is. And it's been good for us to create content. It's been great for us to connect and meet new people and chat with designers, which I think's been awesome.
Yeah, so for me to answer this question, I'm just going to slam the Magic the Gathering online system again. I can't believe this platform has been around for 20 years and they barely upgraded it. It just blows my mind. Okay, joking aside. Of course it is. I think it is a viable solution. I just think it needs to improve a bit. I like the platform for the idea that you can try the games before you buy them. I think that's amazing. I do hate how it takes away from social aspect with people not having to pay attention, but I think that's up to the group, right? So I know like our group's like that, but I'm sure not every group is like that. It's just ours. And then I actually kind of like look to the future of it. I think like this was very viable using virtual reality or VR, even like the VR headsets.
Oh yeah.
Because just imagine like, you know, you have the VR headset, you have your hand, you know, your hands are now tangible just like you would a normal board game. You're able to grab and move pieces with both your hands at the same time. And that would stop a lot of distractions too, right? Because you have to have the headpiece on.
Oh, yeah.
You can't be like on your phone, or you can't be, you know, playing Doom. Or you have to be in the game. So I think that would actually improve. And then those things aren't, they could be up to the point. I don't know. I don't think they're up to the point. I think they're still expensive for a consumer. But as those improve, the thought of board gaming using a computer will be awesome in that sense because of those things. Yeah, I think it is viable. I think the future is there. But at the same time, you know, you can't... I hate it when people are like, oh, virtual reality is already here. We should be able to do it. It's like, no, people still have to develop those things. Developing takes a long time because you have to start from basically scratch. And then as that develops, then it becomes a more viable solution. So it's probably like years in the future, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. If you like what you hear, please follow us on your favorite streaming platform and like us or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you want us to feature a game or you have a game that you'd like us to feature, email us at info@fridaynight.games. We are also currently looking for sponsors, so if you're interested, email us at info@FridayNightGames and check us out on our socials, Instagram at FridayNightGames_official, Twitter and Twitch at FridayNightGMS, on our website, FridayNight.games, and look up Friday Night Games on YouTube. And remember, we're Matt and John, And it's Friday night, so let's have some fun.